Hello and welcome back to Friday Reads, where we help you find your next read. I'm Jill.
And I'm Julie, and this week we have kind of an interesting topic. This was the week where we had 2, 22, 22, and all the twos floating around. Some of the libraries had librarians wearing tutus, but Jill and I did not do that, but instead we thought it'd be fun to feature books that were written by 2 or more authors. So collaboration week. So I'm going to turn it over to Jill for her first pick.
So my first pick is Sleeping Beauties by Stephen King and Owen King. Owen is Stephen's son, and they wrote this book together. It was released in September 2017, and of the novel, Stephen King said, "Owen brought me this dynamite idea," so they went with it. So, in a future so real and near it might be now, something happens when women go to sleep. They become shrouded in a cocoon-like gauze. If they are awakened and the gauze wrapping their bodies is disturbed or violated, the women become feral and spectacularly violent. And while they sleep, they go to another place. The men of the world are abandoned, left to their increasingly primal devices. One woman, however, the mysterious Evie, is immune to the blessing or curse of the sleeping disease. Is Evie a medical anomaly to be studied, or is she a demon to be slain? So it sounds very Stephen King-ish.
Yes, it does.
So those trees, those apples don't fall far.
My first pick is probably one of the more popular collaborations in my picks. I've got The President is Missing by former President Bill Clinton and James Patterson, who Jill and I have covered quite a few times in our Friday reads. This was published in 2018. They've written a spellbinding thriller with this one. As the novel opens, a threat looms. Enemies are planning an attack of unprecedented scale on America. Uncertainty and fear grip Washington. There are whispers of cyber terror and espionage and a traitor in the cabinet. The president himself becomes a suspect, and then he goes missing. Set in real time over the course of 3 days, The President is Missing is one of the most dramatic thrillers in several decades, and it could all really happen, which is the scariest part. It sheds a stunning light upon the inner workings and vulnerabilities of our nation. Filled with information that only a former commander-in-chief would know, this is the most authentic, terrifying novel to come along for several years. The book confronts a threat so huge that it jeopardizes not just Pennsylvania Avenue and Wall Street, but all of America. This was Bill Clinton's first novel, and Clinton and Patterson have teamed up again to write another standalone novel with all new characters, The President's Daughter, which was released in June of 2021. So a successful collaboration that spawned another collaboration.
And it's pretty popular, too. A lot of people, not to be outdone by her husband, Hillary also wrote a book with somebody. According to the fans on Goodreads, Hillary Rodham Clinton and Louise Penny are good friends. And they wrote this book together, State of Terror, which was published. It's a political thriller. And it was published in October 2021. So, State of Terror follows a novice Secretary of State who has joined the administration of her rival, a president inaugurated after 4 years of American leadership that shrank from the world stage. A series of terrorist attacks throws the global order into disarray, and the Secretary is tasked with assembling a team to unravel the deadly conspiracy, a scheme carefully designed to take advantage of an American government dangerously out of touch and out of power in the places where it counts the most. This high-stakes thriller of international intrigue features a behind-the-scenes global drama informed by details only an insider could know. So, yeah. So this is interesting collaboration.
I read that one. That was good. I'm a big fan of Louise Penny, so anything she writes, I read.
I heard it's in her writing style, too.
It is, and she ends up with some of her characters from her Inspector Gamache series end up at the tail end of that, too, so that was kind of fun. My second pick are mystery writers. So it's Mary Higgins Clark and Alifair Burke, and this was published in 2017, and this is Every Breath You Take. So this is actually the 4th book in the New York Times best-selling Under Suspicion series, but I just picked one as an example of what they write together. So in this book, Laurie Moran's professional life is a success. Her television show, Under Suspicion, is a hit, both in the ratings and its record of solving cold cases, but her romantic break from former host Alex Buckley has left her with on-air talent she can't stand, Ryan Nichols, and a sense of loneliness despite her loving family. Now Ryan has suggested a new case. 3 years ago, Virginia Wakeling, a member of the Board of Trustees of the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and one of the museum's most generous donors, was found in the snow after being thrown from the museum's roof on the night of the most celebrated fundraiser, the Met Gala. The leading suspect then and now is her much younger boyfriend and personal trainer, Ivan Gray. Ivan runs a trendy, successful boutique gym called Punch, a business founded in no small part by the late Virginia, which happens to be the gym Ryan frequents. Lori's skepticism about the case is upended by a tip by her father's NYPD connection, and soon Lori realizes there are a bevy of suspects in this case, including those in Virginia's trusted inner circle. As the under suspension crew pries into the lives of the super wealthy real estate family with secrets to hide, danger mounts for several witnesses and for Lori herself. So these two, Alifair Burke, she's written a lot of crime novels, including The Ex, The Wife, The Better Sister. You might be familiar with some of her work. She's a younger author. She also writes 2 series featuring NYPD Detective Ellie Hatcher and the other Portland, Oregon prosecutor Samantha Kincaid. And Mary Higgins Clark was well known as the queen of suspense throughout her career. She's written over 50 books in the mysteries genre. So Mary Higgins Clark and Alifair
she gets
Burke.
She gets her name way bigger.
Yeah, look at the book cover.
So for fantasy fans, this one is for you. 2 lions of literature, Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman, worked together to bring Good Omens. This is an older book. It was published in 1990 as a satirical science fiction. It also has been made into a series that has 1 season out there, which is kind of funny if you want to watch it. People have been predicting the end of the world almost from its very beginning. So it's only natural to be skeptical when a new date is set for Judgment Day. But what if for once the predictions are right and the apocalypse truly is due to arrive the next Saturday, just after tea? You could spend the time left drowning your sorrows, giving away all your possessions in preparation for the rapture, or laughing it off as hopefully just another hoax. Or you could try to do something about it. It's a predicament for that Aziraphale, a somewhat fussy angel, and Crowley, a fast-living demon, now find themselves in. They've been living amongst Earth's mortals since the beginning, and truth be told, have grown rather fond of the lifestyle, and in all honesty, are not looking forward to the coming of the apocalypse. And then there's a small matter of someone appears to have misplaced the Antichrist. So,
Gee.
a little bit of comedy for you.
My next pick is in the YA collection, and this is Jodi Picoult and Samantha Van Leer. This was published in 2012, and this is Between the Lines. So in this book, Delilah is a bit of a loner who prefers spending her time in the school library with her head in a book, one book in particular. Between the Lines may be a fairy tale, but it feels real. Prince Oliver is brave, adventurous, and loving, and he really speaks to Delilah. And then one day, Oliver actually speaks to her. Turns out Oliver is more than a one-dimensional storybook prince. He's a restless teen who feels trapped by his literary existence and hates that his entire life is predetermined. He's sure there's more for him out there in the real world, and Delilah might just be his key to freedom. This is a romantic, charming story. It's a companion novel to Off the Page, and it'll make every reader believe in the fantastical power of fairy tales. Samantha Van Leer conceived the idea for Between the Lines and pitched it to her mom, Jodi Picoult. So this is a mother-daughter collaboration. Her mom was in the middle of a book tour. The prince in the fairy tale is named after Sam's dog, Oliver. So this mother-daughter collaboration. Check that one out in the YA collection.
That's adorable. I didn't know Jodi Picoult had anything in the YA section. So this is another mother-child team. There's only one name on this book because it's a pen name used by mother and son writing team of Carolyn Todd and Charles Todd. So, well, I guess Charles gets his name. But they're writing it together. Together they'd write the Ian Rutledge and Bess Crawford series. So this is like part of a long series. I think this is like book 22 or something like that. So if you like this kind of thing, there's a lot out there for you. Chief Inspector Brian Leslie, a respected colleague of Ian Rutledge, is sent to Avebury, a village set in a great prehistoric stone circle not far from Stonehenge. A young woman has been murdered next to a mysterious hooded figure like stone, but no one recognizes her or admits to it. And how did she get there? Despite a thorough investigation, it appears that a killer has simply vanished. Rutledge, returning from the conclusion of a case involving another apparently unknown woman, is asked to take a second look at Leslie's inquiry to see if he can identify this victim. But Rutledge is convinced Chief Superintendent Jameson only hopes to tarnish his earlier success once he also fails. where to begin. He too finds very little to go on in Avebury, slowly widening his search beyond the village, only to discover that unlikely, possibly even unreliable clues are pointing him toward an impossible solution, one that will draw the wrath of the Yard down on him, and very likely see him dismissed if he pursues it. But what about the victim? What does he owe this tragic woman? Where must his loyalty lie? The divided loyalty.
Not familiar with those writers.
Yeah, got a lot of books, but...
My next pick is probably my most interesting collaboration. This is No Rest for the Dead by several popular authors, and this was published in 2012. This is interesting. With this crime caper, the reader will enjoy the skillful spoils of 26 esteemed wordsmiths who collaborated on this, who craft plots, wield poisons, and toggle the life-death switch with the best of them. When Christopher Thomas, a curator at San Francisco's Museum of Fine Arts, is murdered and his decaying body is found in an Iron Maiden in Berlin, his wife Rosemary is the prime suspect. Long suffering under Christopher's unfaithful ways, Rosemary is tried, convicted, and executed. 10 years later, John Nunn, the detective who cracked the case, becomes convinced that the wrong person was put to death. Along with financier Tony Olson, he plans to gather everyone who was there the night Christopher died and finally uncover the truth about what happened that fateful evening. Could it have been the ne'er-do-well brother Pete, interested in his sister's trust fund, having gotten through all of his own money? The curatorial assistant Justine, used and betrayed by Christopher? The artist Belle, who turned down his advance only to see her career suffer a setback? Or is there someone else lurking in the wings altogether? No Rest for the Dead. It's a thrilling page-turner accomplishment that only the very best thriller writers could achieve. So if I flip the book over, you will see Faye Kellerman, J.A. Jans, Dave Baldacci, all the different authors that participated in the writing of this book.
That's
26
crazy.
of them. So, interesting.
How did they come to
I know. Alexander McCall Smith, T. Jefferson Parker. So, yeah.
Wow.
Very interesting collaboration.
I can't imagine like how they would even make that work, but
I'm kind of curious to read that one and see if you detect like the different styles.
Yeah. I feel like the thrillers and the suspense are like dominating this thing today. And this one is another one. This is suspense by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. You Are Not Alone. This is the third book these two collaborated on. And there's a story to it. Sarah Pekkanen was the writer. She walked into Simon & Schuster in 2008 when she was getting her first book published. And she met Greer Hendricks, who was her editor. And for the first time. And Greer was a veteran editor at Simon & Schuster. She worked with Jennifer Weiner and Stephen Chbosky, Perks of a Wallflower. That was her book that she worked on. And then Hendricks left editing in 2014, and the two discovered they had a lot in common, and that led to them writing together. And they started with The Wife Between Us, which I'm sure you've heard of. And then they went to Anonymous Girl, and then this is the latest one, but there's another one coming out. So it's their third novel together. Shay Miller wants to find love, but it eludes her. She wants to be fulfilled, but her job is dead end. She wants to belong, but her life is increasingly lonely. Until Shay meets the Moore sisters. Cassandra and Jane live a life of glamorous perfection and always get what they desire. When they invite Shay to their circle, everything seems to get better. Shay would die for them to like her. She may have to. If you enjoy this writing pair, they have another new book coming out this year called The Golden Couple, and it already has holds on it, so you could go into Info Soup and put that on hold if you really love this pair of writers.
They're popular, too. My last pick is also a YA pick. And this big book is What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera, published in 2018. Arthur is in New York for the summer, but if Broadway has taught him anything, it's that the universe can deliver a show-stopping romance when you least expect it. Ben thinks the universe needs to mind its business. If the universe had his back, he wouldn't be on his way to the post office carrying a box of his ex-boyfriend's things. But when Arthur and Ben meet cute at the post office, what exactly does the universe have in store for them? Maybe nothing. After all, they get separated. Maybe everything. After all, they get reunited. But what if they can't quite nail a first date, or a second date, or a third? What if Arthur tries too hard to make it work, and Ben doesn't try hard enough? What if life really isn't like a Broadway play, but what if it is? Those are some of the questions asked in What If It's Us? This collaboration also spawned a second book, Here's to Us by these same two authors. This came out in 2021. This time around, Ben has spent his first year of college working on his fantasy manuscript with his writing partner Mario. So why can't he stop thinking about the fact that Arthur's back in town 2 years after they called it quits? Arthur's in New York for a dream internship on Broadway with a boyfriend back at home that he couldn't be happier with. But when he comes upon Ben cuddled up with a mystery boy, he starts to wonder if his feelings for Ben ever truly went away. So in this book, it's to celebrating old friends, embracing new beginnings, and believing in second chances. So sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith and raise a glass. So...
I love that Us is in both titles.
I know.
Well, we hope we helped you find something to read with, or get inspired to work with somebody else.
Collaborate with someone else. Thank you for watching. Like, share, comment. We always like to hear from you. And until next time, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.